Hi everyone, welcome back to the Front Porch Makeover Part 2. Yeah. I am back at my mom's house today and we are going to reveal our front porch garden bed makeover. So I came to your house a few weeks ago and I was going to help you with your front yard garden bed. And I think the first thing that we realized was that
I needed help.
You needed help and I was willing to help.
Yes.
But also that you did not get very much sun in that front garden bed. And I think that was our first,
It was a surprise, actually, because I never thought about it.
Yeah. They had their front yard garden bed planted out, and it had been planted out for several years, and the plants started to decline and not do well. You had some hydrangeas in there, some boxwood,
and I think I had a couple yews.
Some yews as well.
Yeah.
Yes. So what we realized is that the front of the house was truly north facing, and it was a total shade garden. Basically, there was a little bit of sun that maybe hit the front strip of your garden bed, but not much. So I think our first, challenge was accepting the fact that it was a shade garden,
because I wanted color and
I think
flowers.
We both wanted something a little bit different in that bed, right? We wanted all the flowers. Not that you can't have flowers in a shade garden. I think the first thing was like just recognizing that there's not a lot of sun in this bed, so we have to accept that fact. And I think we did. We embraced it, right?
Yes,
and
we did.
You have to just realize, that sun exposure is important. How much sun a garden bed gets is truly essential in determining what you're going to plant there.
Right. And through research, we learned what type of plants we needed to.
For sure. So I feel like day one was the moving of the boxwoods, and that was challenging. That was the first thing I decided to do, was remove the huge pyramidal boxwood that was by her garage door, and we moved that over to the front porch because her boxwoods were not the same size. One of the boxwoods was smaller than the other, but the one by the garage, would have matched the one on right next to the front porch. So I got my muscles on that day, and
you did.
You
weren't too good the day after.
I have to admit, it was harder than I thought it was going to be. We dug out. Well, you helped me. You monitored while I dug out the old boxwood, and we disposed of that. And then I dug out the new boxwood and moved it over to that new site. So that was step one. And then, so this makeover took place over the course of I would say 3 weeks, 3 weeks,
right? 3.5, yeah.
And I really just tucked it into little, parts of my day that I could fit it into. I really enjoy doing these types of things, especially with people that I love. So I really love doing it. It was just finding the time. So finding the time to shop for the plants, finding the time to plant them, to lay out the bed. So after we did the boxwoods, I worked on the back layer, which was right by the windows. And that was a challenge for me because I think initially we thought the arborvitae was going to be something that we could plant back there. And also we talked about boxwoods.
Right.
Well, the arborvitae does need some sun, and that was just back in the recesses. It just was not going to get much sun. So I didn't want to purchase something for my mom that would ultimately fail. So I went to several nurseries, ends up talking to a lot of people, talking to you,
researching online.
Yes. And just
got quite a bit of information.
Yes, we did. So I asked, you what you thought of the yew, and you seemed open.
Oh, yeah.
Open to the yew. So yews are beautiful. They really are.
They are. And I like the little berries.
Yeah. Yes. So we ended up with 2 Columnar Hixus yews on either side, flanking either side of the bay window. And yeah, the berries are a nice feature, and it really is a beautiful dark color. And the columnar growth, I think it'll be perfect for that back area. And I think that it'll thrive, in the shade. It should do okay. I think the yews that were there prior, we kind of determined that they were getting overwatered. they have a sprinkler system in their front yard, and my dad had told me that their sprinkler head would water that entire bed.
Right,
and
for like 15-20 minutes at a time.
Yes. And I think we realized that, oh no, that bed
it was getting too much, and it wasn't draining.
It wasn't draining good. It was getting too much water and no sun. So it was impossible for these plants to thrive. So we started over with 2 new Hixus on either side of the bay window. Okay, so then the next thing was the next layers. And that's where we had talked about initially the boxwood. Well, talking to different people at our local nurseries, and let me just tell you, those people are so helpful. I go to a local nursery a lot. One of the ones I frequent often is called Lava Cats, and they have wonderful people there who can help you with your gardening questions. And they had beautiful boxwoods there, but there was also big signs that talked about beware of the boxwood in our area. And unfortunately, that's a reality. We have Boxwood Blight and also Boxwood Moth that have, found their way down to our area of Western New York. So we received some beneficial information that the boxwoods are suffering in our area, specifically from Boxwood Blight and Boxwood Moth. The Boxwood Blight is a fungal disease that is affecting boxwoods. And actually, you have boxwoods. I don't know if you can see, she has, I'll actually move this for a minute. You have a beautiful little row of boxwoods back. So we're hoping that her boxwoods that she already had are not affected by the Boxwood Blight or the Boxwood Moth. But anyways, the Boxwood Blight is a fungal disease that's been damaging boxwoods in our area. And the Boxwood Moth is a boxwood moth pest insect that's been feeding on boxwoods and causing damage. So for that reason, they really did not recommend that I get boxwoods. I was kind of explaining what I wanted to do in your front yard. And I didn't want to purchase something again that my mom had to take out, in the future that didn't do well. So I decided against the boxwoods, but they gave me a great alternative. To replace the boxwoods, we got the Heller Dwarf Japanese Holly. I'll show you a picture of that here. And let me tell you, they look exactly like boxwoods. The Heller Dwarf Japanese Holly, it's hardy to zone 6, down to zone 6. It gets 2 to 3 feet tall and 4 to 5 feet wide. It's an attractive, dense evergreen shrub. Branching habit is tight and mounding with small, deep green foliage. So we decided to get 3 of those dwarf Japanese hollies. And how did you feel about those?
I love them. I love them. They look just like a boxwood, really.
I really felt they looked beautiful in the nursery, and they were near the boxwoods, so I could see the comparison. And I was happy with how they looked. So that's what we decided to place as our next layer in my mom's garden. So away we went. So we had our Hixus in the back, and then we layered it with the holly, the Japanese holly, and we had 3 of those. And we also, I think another challenging thing that I have to mention is the shape of your garden bed. It wasn't
square.
It wasn't square. It wasn't rectangle. It was
just on an angle.
It was just an angular bed that was not, even on either side. It was just the bed as you walk up to her front door. It curved, it angled. So if you planted something on one side, it wasn't necessarily going to be in the same location on the other side. There was, angles that we had to work with. So the next layer up, kind of on an angle, in between the holly, we decided on a hydrangea, believe it or not. But that was after consulting with, again, the nursery experts. They were very helpful. We decided on a macrophylla hydrangea, and this is a new one, as I understand it, that's out. It's from First Editions. It's called Eclipse Big Leaf Hydrangea, and it says on the tag that it requires full sun. But I talked to, again, the people in the nursery, and they said it's okay. It doesn't need full sun in our area. So I kind of explained where our bed was and that it didn't get much sun at all. And they said, give it a shot. You'd be surprised at the fact that the macrophyllas can thrive. So my mom already had a macrophylla hydrangea in there, and it was doing well until you said you pruned it down hard a couple of years ago. So I don't think that was a result of like, you know,
No,
not
that was my
thriving
doing, right,
in the location. So we decided to go for that Eclipse hydrangea. So that was our next choice. And, you know, we planted that up. This should bloom dark purple cranberry color blooms that make a dramatic impact. So it gets 3 to 5 feet high, 3 to 5 feet wide, dark purple foliage. And I think, you know, that's also
it's going to be beautiful. I
gonna
love the
do
leaves.
really well. Yeah. I love the leaves, the color of the foliage, and the fact that you're going to get a bloom, you know, that's exciting as well. Now, what we did with her other macrophylla hydrangea, which I believe was a endless summer, I think it was an endless summer original that you had there. We transplanted that. So I moved that one right to the other side of her porch, to the left side of her house. And into a little garden bed there, and that I think will do very well there. It gets some dappled sun, and I think that will look great there as well. So hopefully both hydrangeas will thrive in that location, and we'll just have to see. And I think a big thing with this project was you can, you know, do all the research and put the time and the effort in, and then you just have to wait and
just
see.
be trial and error.
And it's okay, right? It's gardening is,
as long as you come back.
and I will come back. I will come back. But I think it was fun. It was fun, but it, you know, it doesn't have to be perfect. And I think that's a big thing that I always like mention sometimes in my videos, is that like the idea of perfection is, you know, just let that go. Gardening is supposed to be fun. It's supposed to be enjoyable. And I've enjoyed watching you
and learning. I have learned.
Have you?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm so glad you did it. But no, so I just wanted to emphasize that, you know, if you have a little project in your garden or in your backyard, just have fun with it. I mean, you want to learn something, you want to make educated decisions, but if you have a misstep, if you make a wrong choice, you know, if you realize something doesn't work out, it's okay. You know, just switch it up and have fun in the process. And I really do think we had fun in the process. Didn't we?
For sure. Yeah. That's life.
No yawning.
I know.
No yawning. Okay. So moving along, we selected another plant. It's a proven winners. It's called Chantilli Lace Aruncus. It's a perennial. I'll show you a picture of that here. And this one was really beautiful. So I liked this Chantilli Lace. So it can tolerate shade, and that's a reason why we selected this plant. And I think one of the things I liked about the Chantilli Lace is that it reminded me, like the blooms, if you can see, it reminded me of something antique or vintage, or like an old tablecloth.
Yes.
Does that not right? I just thought that was really pretty. So again, we selected something that can bloom. So that'll look nice too. And the next plant we visited was coral bells, or Hooka. And I really love coral bells. I love Hooka. I really didn't plant that in years past, but just in the last couple of years I've really gotten into them. So I selected, you know, 3 different coral bells for my mom. So I wanted a statement. We had a lot of darker foliage happening with the hydrangea, with the Hixus, so I needed something to kind of pop, and I wanted that chartreuse color. So I selected the Proven Winners Primo Pistachio Ambrosia. You can take a look at that. A Coral Bells Hooka that gets 10 to 12 inches high. An improvement over Pretty Pistachio. It's a large, well-rounded chartreuse leaves, have brightest colors in filtered shade or with morning sun. Pink flowers. So again, this is a plant that can survive in shade. And as we get closer to the sidewalk, or as we get closer to the front of my mom's garden bed, there is some sun that does come around. It's brief, but you know, she will.
There's a strip.
Yeah, there is a strip of sun. So we went with that Pistachio Ambrosia coral bells, and that's going to be beautiful. And then on either side of that, we went with another Proven Winners Hooka And this one is called Silver Gumdrop. And again, that can tolerate shade. And this is a little bit smaller. This gets 6 to 8 inches. It says, use this silver beauty to brighten up your shade garden. Semi-glossy, iridescent silver leaves are topped with vibrant pink flowers. The leaves take on a rosy blush overtone later in the season. Thrives in part shade, but will grow also in full shade. So that was a perfect selection, I thought, for the front of that bed. So if you can envision, and we'll show you, she's got the chartreuse color and coming in on either side with the silver gumdrop, iridescent silver color. I also picked out one more called Dolce Spearmint, the Proven Winners Dolce Spearmint Hooka. This one is a great package of both foliage and flowers. Silvery green leaves have dark green veins. Bicolor flowers with dark pink petal tips and light pink bases. So this can also, grow in the shade. And we decided that we put that on the other side of your house. So we didn't put it in the main front garden bed that we planted out, but where we transplanted the hydrangea on the other side, that's where we put it. We stuck it in there next to the hydrangea, and I think that'll do well too. And I think that'll kind of unite both garden beds a little bit. So that's what we ended up doing there. And okay, so I felt like we had little groupings happening too. We had I felt like the Hixus kind of went together with the Boxwoods, with the holly. Then I felt like the hydrangea kind of paired with the Chantilli Lace of Runkus. Right. And then we had the little grouping of the coral bells, and they kind of worked together. And we also had in front of the coral bells, that kind of like was the final touch in that front bed. And let's see, what did we choose for that? That was the variegated lily turf grass. And this was also a really beautiful, bright clump of grass. The description is a shade-loving, clump-forming, evergreen ground cover of fountainous gold and green blades. Lavender spikes in the summer yield blackberries in the fall. It gets 16 to 18 inches high and 18 to 24 inches wide. So that's the variegated lily turf grass. And we put, I think, did we do 3 or 4 in the front? I'll show you it. I'll put a clip up and you can see, but yeah, I think it was 3
and then one on the other side.
And then we carried one to the other garden bed on the other side, just so I said, just so the song keeps singing. Yeah, so we keep singing the song all along your garden beds in the front there. So the lily turf grass, that was our final addition to the front portion of the bed. And we do have one little more vignette that we worked out too, and that's as you round the corner right by the stairs. We ended up doing the Proven Winners Crusted Surf Fern. You can see that there, perennial. And the Proven Winners Crusted Surf gets 20 to 22 inches tall, and it's perfect. It's a perfect foliage plant for shade. It looks similar to the traditional Japanese painted fern, but the tips of fronds are double crusted. So we planted that sort of right near the boxwood, and
it's like a little family there.
It was like a little family, and then we, surrounded it with a hosta. Now, you had mentioned that you did not like humongous hostas, and I can understand why. They kind of
they get overbearing.
Yeah, I think they have their spot in the garden, and they can definitely be gorgeous. But when you have, when you live in a suburban area and you have just a regular garden plot, sometimes like a huge hosta just doesn't work, right?
Right.
But you
I do like them.
The look of the hosta.
Yes.
So there's many mini hostas out there, and I have one in my garden. It's called the Blue Mouse Ears hosta, which I think is adorable and really cute. So I had suggested to my mom, let's try a mini hosta. So I saw the mini skirt hosta, and I think you had said,
I love them. I love how they look.
You like the yellow and the green color.
Just the variegated look.
The variegated look. Okay, so the mini hosta, Hosta mini skirt, it's called. This miniature selection forms a petite mound of wavy blue-green leaves skirted with creamy yellow margins. Distinct purple streaked pale lavender flowers appear in the summer. It's excellent as a border edging ground cover or container plant. And that's basically what we had, was a border edging. So we had our crested surf fern, you know, back a little bit, and then the front layer or the border edging was those mini skirt hostas.
Yeah,
and I think
it was a perfect ending to that.
it was good. It was good. I really like how that is going to look. We forgot one more little vignette, right?
Yes,
Just as you walked up the sidewalk, the first thing you see was, now it's where I removed the boxwood, that initial boxwood. I had suggested a golden globe blue spruce on standard, which means a little tree form of that tree. So that's what we ended up getting, globe blue spruce. And I love the evergreen color. I love that it's going to be evergreen. And the blue spruce, that color is beautiful. I think especially in
I've
the
always
wintertime.
loved blue spruce.
Yes, yes. And they're very beautiful in our area. I think with our 4 seasons.
You go and look for Christmas trees and you fall in love with those.
Oh yeah. Let's see. It says, as this plant ages, the head will enlarge and the trunk will thicken, making a grand statement. So we all know what a blue spruce looks like. And so I picked up one of those globe blue spruces, and it's kind of tiny right now, but it will, like it said, the head will get bigger and the trunk will get thicker, and it'll make a nice statement as you're walking up the sidewalk. My dad was nice enough to stake that. Right.
Yeah.
And I have to mention, he wanted to help me. So I did a lot of the planting. I think after I did that initial boxwood, he was a little concerned.
Well, he realized we didn't see you for a few days.
I had to recover for a couple days after the boxwood, got to be honest. But he ended up helping me with the hollies and the yews. And that was really helpful. So he dug those holes for me. And then I was able to position them and plant them. Actually, he planted the yews, and then I planted the holly. So that was helpful as well. So I did have help from my dad.
Yeah, it's a family affair.
It was a family affair. But anyways, the globe, like I was saying, really beautiful, and I really liked that addition. I just think it's going to look pretty as the years go on. Underneath the globe blue spruce, we selected the cherry truffles heuchera, another heuchera. And I purchased 2 of them. I didn't purchase 3 because they only had 2. Wherever I was, there was only 2. We do need 3. So I feel like in the springtime, I think we're going to purchase another one and just add it to right underneath the globe blue spruce. But the cherry truffles heuchera, let's see, where is my little... Here it is. So that's another proven winner, is the cherry truffle heuchera, and I think it's so cute. It's another smaller perennial heuchera. It's 8 to 10 inches. I like the ruffled leaf. I think that's beautiful. So the cherry truffles, the features are beautiful bright red, heavily ruffled leaves. It leaves for a low mounding habit. In the summer, the color matures to a rich mahogany red, light pink flowers. It's perfect in sun or shade. It says it does thrive in part shade, but will grow in sun or shade. So it, again, was a perfect choice, I think, for that bed. And I think the globe blue spruce, I know some of you might be concerned that that does need sun. And it's actually right at the tip of her garden
the strip
bed.
Where it...
Yep, right as you walk up. So it will get sun. It will get some sun there, which will be perfect. And I think the cherry truffles will get not, incredible amounts of sun. They will thrive there as well. So. And here is our before shot of the front yard garden bed. You can see what everything looked like before we got started. You can see the boxwoods in the front there as well. Right in front of the porch, you can see the 2 different sizes. And here is our after. And you can see as we walk up the sidewalk, there's lots of visual interest. There's the globe blue spruce underplanted with the cherry truffles, and it's nicely staked for the winter. And you can see all of the visual interest, the yews in the background layered with the holly. There's the dark foliage of the hydrangea, and then in front is the ambrosia heuchera.
the silver gumdrop Hooka. You can see the fern there on the left, surrounded by the mini skirt hosta. And there's that beautiful boxwood that we transplanted. And you can also see the variegated lily turf grass in the front. The only thing I forgot to mention is we did plant bleeding hearts as well. We planted 2 bleeding hearts. You can see one of them has kind of the orangish foliage on the left there, and there's another one on the other side. So that is another shade-loving plant, the bleeding heart, that we planted up as well, that should also thrive in this new garden bed. And just to swing around to the other side, we carried one of our variegated lily turf grasses over to this side, as well as the Dolce Spearmint Hooka, and that's where our transplanted hydrangea ended up. You can see the wind is starting to blow, and we just made it in time because winter's on its way.
So thank you for coming on this journey with us as we planted up my mom's front yard garden bed. And we just want to encourage you and inspire you to get out into your gardens and do something like this for yourselves. Redo a garden bed, learn a little bit about sun exposure, or what your garden needs to thrive, and just enjoy it. Just enjoy gardening.
And thank you for your time and energy. We loved it.
You're welcome. And I enjoyed helping my mom. And
we'll be back in the spring.
We'll be back in the spring. We will be back in the spring because you want roses in your front, right by your lamp post, right? Mm-hmm. So maybe we'll be back in the spring to plant out some roses for my mom as well. Have a great day.
Thank you.